When the Supreme Court reaches a unanimous decision, it delivers a strong and clear message to the country. In an era where political divides often dominate the news, a 9-0 ruling is a rare instance of unity at the highest judicial level. It illustrates that, despite their varied backgrounds and beliefs, the justices can unite when the law is unequivocal and compelling. These instances remind us that certain legal principles transcend ideology and partisanship. When the court speaks unanimously, it indicates that the matter at hand is not merely a matter of opinion, but a fundamental truth acknowledged by all. Unanimous decisions show that the Supreme Court can find common ground, even on issues that deeply divide the nation. This consensus building is vital, especially when the country faces questions about civil rights, governmental authority, or personal freedoms. It assures the public that the law is not just a reflection of political trends, but a stable foundation everyone can depend on. These rulings establish clear, nationwide standards that lower courts must adhere to, providing much-needed stability and predictability in the law. When the Supreme Court is united, its decisions leave little room for ambiguity or misinterpretation, ensuring justice is applied uniformly across all states and jurisdictions. For ordinary Americans, this clarity is crucial. It defines our rights and the boundaries of government power in ways that are straightforward to understand and implement. Whether concerning freedom of speech, religious liberty, or police conduct, unanimous decisions help people know their rights and the protections they can rely on. The 2025 term included significant 9-0 decisions on topics like religious freedom and police conduct, demonstrating that consensus is achievable even on fundamental rights that often provoke intense debate. These cases show that the justices can put aside their differences to uphold core American values. While divided decisions often capture headlines and spark controversy, it is the unanimous rulings that quietly shape the bedrock of American law. They provide a steadying influence in turbulent times, guiding lower courts and lawmakers alike. By looking at recent cases like Catholic Charities and Barnes v. Felix, we see how the court is defining rights that impact our everyday lives. These decisions address everything from the ability of organizations to serve their communities, to the protections individuals have when dealing with law enforcement. When the court speaks with one voice, it builds public trust and reinforces the idea that the law can unite us. In a democracy, that unity is not just symbolic. It's a crucial part of ensuring justice, equality, and the rule of law for everyone. In a closely watched case, the Supreme Court unanimously sided with the Catholic Charities Bureau of Wisconsin, ruling it was exempt from state unemployment taxes. Catholic Charities argued its social services were an expression of its religious mission, deserving the same exemption as churches. Wisconsin countered that the organization's public services and government funding made it ineligible, warning of financial consequences if large religious employers were exempt. The case raised a crucial question: who defines religious work? The government or the faith group itself? The court's 9-0 decision set a strong precedent, affirming that religious organizations deserve deference in defining their own mission. The Supreme Court made it clear, the government shouldn't second-guess a religious group's definition of its mission. The justices agreed that Catholic Charities' faith-driven purpose was the key factor, not the nature of its services or funding. This ruling gives religious organizations more autonomy, protecting their ability to serve the public without losing their religious status. The decision provides a legal shield for faith-based groups, clarifying that public service doesn't dilute their religious identity. Lower courts must now focus on an organization's internal mission, not just its activities. This broad consensus strengthens religious freedom and sets a predictable standard for future cases. In the landmark case of Barnes v. Felix, the United States Supreme Court delivered a unanimous decision that would reshape how courts across the country evaluate police use of force. The court struck down the controversial moment of the threat doctrine, a legal principle that had previously restricted excessive force reviews to just a single, isolated instant, the precise moment when an officer decided to use force. The case centered on the tragic and fatal police shooting of Ashton Barnes, an incident that sparked national debate and brought renewed attention to the standards by which police actions are judged in court. This case raised profound questions about the fairness and adequacy of how courts assess police conduct, especially in high-stress, rapidly evolving situations. In their decision, the justices made it clear that claims of excessive force must be evaluated by looking at the entire sequence of events leading up to and including the use of force, rather than focusing solely on the final, split-second moment when force was applied. The Supreme Court sent the case back to the lower court, instructing them to apply this broader, more comprehensive standard in their review. Even justices who expressed concerns about the safety and split-second decisions faced by police officers agreed on one crucial point: that all relevant circumstances, including the events leading up to the confrontation, must be weighed carefully to determine whether the use of force was truly reasonable under the law. This historic decision establishes a single, nationwide standard for evaluating excessive force cases, replacing a patchwork of inconsistent regional rules that had led to confusion and unequal justice. By clarifying the law, the ruling significantly strengthens civil rights protections for individuals across the country and ensures that everyone, regardless of background, receives fairer, more consistent treatment in the eyes of the law. The Barnes v. Felix decision marks a significant moment in legal history as it reaffirms and clarifies the totality of the circumstances standard for evaluating police use of force. This principle is not new, but the court's decision gives it renewed importance, ensuring that every aspect of a police encounter is considered, not just isolated moments. Courts are now required to look at the full picture, every detail and nuance of an encounter, when determining whether an officer's use of force was justified. This includes not only the split-second decisions made in the heat of the moment, but also the officer's actions and choices leading up to the incident. Did the officer escalate the situation unnecessarily? Were there opportunities to de-escalate? All of these factors must be weighed. If an officer's poor judgment or reckless behavior creates a dangerous situation, that context is now crucial in evaluating their response. The court recognizes that police officers face difficult, high-pressure situations, but it also emphasizes that their conduct before and during an encounter cannot be ignored. By rejecting the narrow moment of the threat rule, the court has closed a significant loophole that previously allowed officers to avoid accountability by focusing only on the final, most dangerous moments of an encounter. Now, the entire sequence of events is subject to scrutiny. Officers can no longer justify their use of force by pointing solely to the last few seconds of a confrontation. Instead, they are responsible for their conduct throughout the entire interaction, from the initial approach to the final outcome. This comprehensive review ensures that justice is served for both officers and civilians. This approach seeks to balance the complex realities of police work with the fundamental need to protect civil rights. It acknowledges the challenges officers face, while also holding them to a standard that respects the rights and safety of the public. The unanimous ruling by the court sends a clear message. Police conduct will be reviewed fairly and comprehensively, ensuring accountability and building trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. This decision sets a new standard for evaluating police actions nationwide. The 2025 Supreme Court term was packed with cases shaping law and public policy. Without major election disputes, the justices tackled issues from transgender rights and birthright citizenship to free speech and religious education. They ruled on gun violence, the Affordable Care Act, and federal regulatory power, decisions affecting millions. The court addressed age verification for online content, parental rights in education, and reverse discrimination in employment and admissions. Other cases involved gun manufacturer liability, religious charter schools, and voting rights. The variety of cases highlights the court's central role in American life. Each ruling sets precedents that guide lawmakers, businesses, and individuals across the country. A major theme of the 2025 term was defining rights in a changing society. The court weighed state bans on gender-affirming care for minors, balancing state authority and personal health care rights. First Amendment cases tackled internet speech, religious charter schools, and parental opt-outs on sensitive topics. Public safety rulings addressed gun manufacturer immunity, ghost guns, and vaping regulations. The justices also considered TikTok's future, balancing national security and free speech. Cases on affirmative action and voting rights shaped debates over equality and representation. These decisions set new precedents for personal autonomy, digital life, and democracy. The Supreme Court's 2025 decisions directly impact every American. The Catholic Charities ruling strengthens religious organizations' ability to serve communities according to their faith. Barnes v. Felix creates a stronger standard for police accountability, protecting individual rights during encounters. These rulings define the relationship between citizens and government, clarifying paths to justice and boundaries of state power. The court's work shapes schools, workplaces, and public safety. Its decisions reflect and influence the nation's values, fueling ongoing debates about rights and equality. Unanimous rulings show the law can unite us, even in divided times. The Supreme Court remains a powerful force, and its 2025 term will shape American life for years to come.